Welcome to the SweetSpot Podcast, where we're all about helping players, coaches, and parents get the most out of the game. Whether you're stepping up to the plate, coaching from the dugout, or cheering from the stands, we got you covered with expert tips, strategies, and insights to make youth sports a better experience for everyone. Each episode, we'll share our own experiences and bring on special guests who will offer valuable advice on skill development, teamwork, and creating a positive environment for growth both on and off the field. So let's dive in and make the game even sweeter.
Play ball!
Welcome to the SweetSpot Podcast. We have two very special guests today. Last episode, we shared some time with Zach. Today, we have his dad, Joaquin, joining the show.
Thank you.
Welcome. So we want to welcome them.
Thank you for having me.
So very important episode for us today, where we get to share father and son time, reminisce on the times they had together with Zach's youth and how everything's going now with his baseball career. So,
Joaquin,
Yes,
I got an initial question for you.
Okay.
A little background. When I first met you, right before we exchanged the introduction, I hung out with Magali, your wife, for a brief 2-3 minutes, and I spoke very highly of both of you because at the end of the day, your son is an exceptional human being. And me as a father of two boys and, you know, loving sports and growing up playing baseball, I think that you guys did a wonderful job with raising Zach. And I wanted to ask you, how does it feel watching your son playing baseball at the caliber that he does, having a phenomenal season last year, but more importantly, how does it feel from a father side seeing your son off the field and how he is and how he interacts with his environment?
Well, at night when me and my wife sit down and watch the games late at night at 9:30 at night when the games start here in South Florida, to this day, me and my wife still look at each other and we say, is this really happening? Because it is a surreal moment, you know, being able to see Zach, you know, on TV, you know, playing at the highest level in professional baseball. It's something that, you know, we've didn't strive for.
Right.
It's just something that, you know, hard work and perseverance, you know, it got him to where he's at today. But the feeling is, it's like I'm living my childhood dream through him, because every little boy, little girl who plays Little League baseball, they always strive. Their dream is to be a professional baseball player. And unfortunately I couldn't make it, but but my son did. So now I get to live my childhood dream through him, and I think I'm doing a great job right now doing it. It's fun.
absolutely.
And in the period of, you know, youth baseball, like off the field, you know, the morals and ethics that you know, imparted on him, like how did you navigate all of that? How did you balance out the on the field and off the field, like chores at home, like, you know, things like that? How did you go through that?
Well, I come from a military background. I was in the military myself. So
Thank you for your service.
you're welcome. But I've always been, you know, very strict with my kids. You know, nothing comes for free. You want something, you're gonna have to go out there and earn it. And at the house, you know, we had our rules. You know, you have to help your mom clean the house. You know, you have to take out the garbage on garbage days. You gotta take the dogs out to go walk, or, you know, do whatever it takes. You know, we had chores. One thing Zach said in one of the interviews that I heard, which kind of made me smile, because every morning I always told all three of my kids that we had, you know, make sure that when you leave the bed, you make sure you make your bed.
Make your bed.
Don't leave the house without making your bed. And to this day, when he had the interview with sometime during the Angels season, and one of the things that they asked him was, what's one of the things that your dad instilled in you to this day? And he said, to this day, I still, at least, I might not make the creases on the side of my bed, but at least I cover up, I put my covers over it, but I somewhat make my bed to this day. And I go, all right.
Nobody wants to come home to a bet that's not made.
Yeah. I mean, to piggyback off of that, I mean, I look at it the way, because I got told by one of my coaches when I was in college, he pretty much said, good or bad day, at least you could come home to a freshly made bed. So, when he said that, the first thing that comes to my mind is, my dad every day, growing up has always told me, make your bed. And, when someone else says it and it's like, okay, I have that flashback or something in my head that says, wait, I've heard that before. It's probably something that you should do. And ever since then, I mean, it's pretty much something that I try to do on a daily basis because, baseball is a very mental game and it could go good or it could go very bad. So being able to walk in through your front door and, when you get to your bed and seeing your bed freshly made, at least it's something pretty special.
So touching on that, I think that we all know that I kind of brought in Zach the other day to help us coach a Little League tournament. We had a great time. Didn't win it all, but I think we all enjoyed it. The kids, everything was phenomenal. And it was funny because I kept on telling him, I'm like, he was coaching third base and I kept on saying names. I'm like, oh, you look like the next Ron Washington, or you look like EY, or you look like Bo Porter. And he would like smile and kind of laugh and nod. And then, we had this moment where I started talking to him a couple of days later and I asked him about my son and kind of that relationship. And he told me something that I'll never forget. And, I told my wife immediately and I kind of, it touched me a lot. And he said that his relationship with my relationship with my son reminded him a lot of his relationship with you, coaching him and all of that. So he saw a lot of similarities in how we approached it. So then I started calculating and I started looking back and I'm like, man, I was telling Zach, Ron Washington, all these things. And then he internally was, instead of being his coach, he was thinking of being his dad. So I saw that extremely powerful. Maybe you didn't see it, but I was like, man, he's trying to be his father. He's trying to resemble what his dad was to him when at a young age. So he's trying to show the same thing to his kids, not necessarily his coach.
Yeah, I mean, getting the opportunity to do that, I knew that I had to be kind of like the big brother in the relationship. Having these young kids who, know the game of baseball, just, being able to coach them and having the opportunity, it's something that they'll never forget. And me knowing that I have to come out here and try to show them the best that I can to, hopefully win it all, but just teach them the game the right way. And which they knew how to do. It was just more of like a different aspect of it. And it's like I told you, during the tournament, after the tournament, I said, there's a certain level of how much your own kid is going to listen to their father, their mother, coming from the baseball side. But it's different hearing it from a major leaguer, another coach who's trying to help you, succeed and just trying to give the best to you. And I think it was something that made it easier for me to have the relationship I had with the kids, just because they knew what it took to win the whole thing. They knew what it took to play together as a team. It was just a matter of trying to get them on the same page. The first couple of days, I mean, you could tell they were kind of excited. They're a major league baseball players, their head coach, and they wanted to try to do too much. And I mean, Albert was there when I talked to him. I said, guys, like, I don't want you to do too much. Like, treat me as a regular person. Like, we're gonna come out here, we're gonna be aggressive, and we're just gonna have fun. I told them the whole weekend. I said, we're just here to have fun. We're gonna win it all, but we're gonna here to have fun and develop. And I mean, that last game, it was a hard task to win 4 games all the way to the championship. And, having those first 2 games was pretty special because you could just see the bond that the kids have for themselves. And as a coach, it feels awesome, just being able to go out there and show the game of baseball. And those kids are sponges, them just being able to soak it all in and just show it out when they play. Like me having a special relationship with Dylan, I think it was pretty cool. First meeting him at Mo's baseball camps and finally be able to get to coach him. I think it was pretty special. Him being one of the names that was trying to do too much. And, you texted me the day before saying that, man, Dylan feels like he let you down. I said, no, man, Like, Dylan didn't let me down at one bit. I just want Dylan to go out there and have fun. I told you he was going to catch pretty much almost every game. But I needed him to just, perform. And I remember talking to Dylan individually, and, he's looking at me with this smile from ear to ear. And, just having a regular conversation, like not even bringing baseball up, or, I'm like, hey man, like, when we're done with this, are we going to play Fortnite, or what are we going to do? We're going to go home and play basketball. Like, what are we going to do? And, just kind of getting baseball out of his head, I think it made it pretty easy for him to just go out there and play, like let the game do what the game's supposed to do. And mind you, he had a pretty good day. And
he had a great tournament.
Yeah, he had a very great tournament. And, him pretty much being the leader, leading off every game, and, catching when he needed to catch and playing infield when he needed to play. Just showing the guys that, it doesn't matter who our coach is, as long as you have a good relationship. And it's like me and you talked about me thinking about my dad. He was very tough on me. And but when I look at it now that I'm older, I'm actually grateful about it, because it gets harder as you start getting older, it gets harder. And nobody's gonna take it easy on you. You pretty much have to work for what you want to be. And at the next level, it's pretty much you got to know it. And if you don't understand it, then you're out. Like, so that's why I'm thankful for my dad always treating me, not treating me, just pushing me to be better every day, and being hard on me when I was young, because it taught me as I got older that I could do this. I could hang with all these other guys. It doesn't matter. I just got to trust in myself. And it's pretty much got me to where I am.
And Joaquin, I want to ask you something now that Zach mentioned that. During that process of youth baseball and coaching him and being his father and all that, did you ever, consider that, man, today I was a little too tough on him? Maybe let me crank it down a little bit.
Look, with our team that we built since we were 5 years old, we named them Team Miami. We wanted to represent Miami, and we thought that team name was great. And we formed this team. We had 3 coaches. I was one of them. Then we had Manny Ojeda, and we had George Carrion. Like the old saying, you have a good cop and bad cop. The bad cop was Manny Ojeda. He was a guy that would yell at you. He would say things, that a 6-year-old kid shouldn't be hearing, but he got the job done. I was a good cop. I was the one that would come back and go, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's okay. Bounce back, blah, blah." But to answer your question, no, because I couldn't show favoritism to him. And that's one of the hardest things about being a coach of your own son. There's 2 things that are very hard. One, you have to separate yourself from being a dad at the time. If you're going to be on the field coaching your son, you can't be a dad. You got to be a coach. You got to treat your son the same way you're going to treat the other 11 kids on the team.
And he has to call you coach.
No, 100%. No one ever called me Bobby, Daddy. No. It's either Neto or coach. That's it. And I would let him have it after practice. During practice, not much, but on the ride home, it would be a long ride home. I would take it the long way just to make sure I let him have it. And the second hardest thing about coaching your son is, and you can mark this day, there's going to come a time in your coaching careers, now that you guys are coaching your kids, there's going to be a time that you're going to have to make the decision as coaches. I've taken them to as far as I could. Now it's time for someone else to do it. Because he's only gonna listen to you to a certain point. Because as he keeps on developing, he's gonna get to a point where that's it. The skills level, you can't get him to that next level.
Right.
And now he has to hear from somebody else. Somebody else, maybe with credentials, like maybe Zach, that is a major leaguer, maybe a former major leaguer, but somebody that has maybe that time is when he gets to high school. Now, obviously as a father, you're not going to be talking to a high school coach and telling him, "Oh, hey, my son's a star shortstop. He needs to play." Because if you do that, your son won't be playing baseball at that school anywhere. At least in that school for sure. Yeah. So you got to sit down in the bleachers and relax. But there is going to be a time where you're going to have to make that decision when that time comes. And it's hard as a father. Damn, it's here.
Yeah, I think we part of the reason why we started the podcast was to have that, right? Like I go through the challenges and the trouble of coaching my son, making sure that I'm the best father, the best coach that I could be for him, and also for the rest of the kids. So seeing those responses and seeing how you guys could relate is absolutely amazing. I think it's great to hear that, because I think I need that myself, right? Like I need to hear those things, because sometimes you go through the process and you're always asking yourself, am I doing the right thing? So being able to hear that from you guys, I'm extremely thankful to be able to do that. And a lot of times I struggle with it with my son. And I've talked to you guys about it, where it's like I just don't think I could coach him anymore. He's only 11, right? And I gave up on coaching him, for a time as well. And then came back, but there's always that fight. There's always that struggle where he's looking at me and he's like, man, why are you treating me harder than the rest of the kids? Or, like why are you doing this to me and not to the other kids? So there's that internal struggle, and part of this entire process as well, like I said, is to learn myself, but also make sure that I'm doing the right thing and I don't hurt my relationship with my son moving forward, right? So the fact that you're strong on him and now he's kind of realized it, right? I did the same thing with my dad. Again, nothing related to baseball, but just in life in general, right? My dad was very hard on me. But there came a time, my wife was pregnant and we ended up working together, and I told him, I grabbed him and I said, thank you, right? And I think there came that point where I needed to say that to my dad, because he was always so hard, and there were times where I felt like he didn't know how much I appreciated that, and there came that time where I felt like I had to, right? So one of the things that I cherish would be for my kids or any of our kids to come back and tell us, hey, thank you, you did a good job, right? Like that's as a parent, like what you're always looking for. So yeah, that's a very important thing for me moving forward, not only being a coach, but just being a dad.
Well, I want to go off subject for a second, because I want to touch base on what you said. As a coach, you're a part of these kids' lives, and I made a joke with my wife today, because he got a delivery from UPS today at his house, and the kid comes and knocks on the door. My wife sees him like reading the name. He drops off. He goes inside. He drops off inside because it was a heavy box, and he leaves. Kid comes back 10 minutes later, he rings the doorbell, and he goes, look, I'm sorry to bother you, but this last name is very unique. And I used to play baseball at Tamami Park with a kid called Andrew Neto, and his dad coached me in an all-star game. Joaquin Neto. By any chance, would be, were you guys related? And my wife goes, it's funny that you should say that, but yes, this is Andrew's brother's house, blah, blah. And he goes, wow, that's awesome. And it's been so long. I'm hoping that you guys are doing great. So when she tells me a story, she goes, oh my God, can you believe that this happened? I go, yeah, of course, because sometime during his life, I touched him, and I made an impact on him that he still remembers me. And she goes, "Oh my God, for real?" And I go, "Yeah, I'm going to believe that 100%, because how many kids like that have come through me, and through other people have mentioned my name. Hey, say hi to Coach Neto, stuff like that. So when I heard that story, I was like, good. That's another. That's a nice story. That's a nice story.
Well,
it's a proud moment for sure.
Yeah, if you think about it, we're with the kids 15, 20 hours a week, if you really want to think about it. And it's a lot of interaction that you have. And at that age, if you give them proper guidance, and if you let them know that, they're doing well and they're excelling and doing everything that's being asked, and they're putting in the effort, and you guide them, that's gonna stick with a kid. And we mentioned it in the first episode when we were talking about coaches that that touched our lives and helped us along the way. Absolutely, there's no way that as a coach, if you are invested in what you're doing, whether you're coaching your kids or anybody, if you're really committed to what you're doing, that energy is gonna go across and you're gonna impact the kid's life one way or another.
I had with my oldest son, we had this kid. He was a pitcher, lefty pitcher. I'm not going to say his name yet. That I picked up in the draft. The day I picked him up in the draft, back then there was no travel teams. You had to draft your players.
Yeah.
Everybody went crazy. How can you take this kid? You know that this kid belongs to this team. I picked him. This kid had a live arm. 8 years old. Had a live arm, lefty. But man, couldn't hit the side of a wall. But he threw hard. I said, all right. So I started working with him, one-on-one, every time we had practice. And his mom and dad would stay after practice, and just me and him would just work and work and work and work. And by the end of the season, I had the confidence enough to put him in the playoffs to pitch a game against a team that he was supposed to play on, because that was a commitment that he made. Back then, you were only allowed to throw 3 innings. He threw 3 innings, 0 hits, struck out 8 batters. Okay? To me, that was like tremendo accomplishment in my part, and the mom and dad were super happy. But after the game, the mom and dad walked up to me, and I could tell that there was something wrong. And I said, they asked me if they can talk to me alone in private. So we went behind a tree and we talked. And the dad couldn't even say a word. She goes, look, we need to tell you something. I go, what's that? Everything okay? And everything's perfect. But I just want you to know that we enjoyed the time that we had here with you, but we're moving to North Carolina. So this will be our last game. I said, okay, thank you for letting me know. But I just want you, if you're ever going to hear me out, don't let anybody tell you that your son cannot be a good pitcher. Please, go to North Carolina, find yourself a good coach that can train your son to become the pitcher that he's going to become one day. Mark my words. Years later, I get a phone call from a friend of mine. He goes, hey, have you read the Perfect Game magazine? I go, no, why? He goes, go buy one at Barnes & Noble and read it, page whatever. They did an interview with a pitcher from NC State, first round pick, Carlos Rondon. And he mentioned me by name because I was his coach that told him never to quit pitching, because he was going to be a pitcher, a big name pitcher one day in his life.
It's a great story.
And look at him now, pitching for the New York Yankees.
That's a great story.
And
Great story.
each one of the kids is a project, and each one can be developed. And obviously everybody has their ceiling and everybody has their path. Okay. But when you come across someone like you, it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, part of the thing that I think we struggle with the most is the relationship with parents, and their understanding of time. Right, like every parent right now thinks that time is ending. Like it's the end of the world. Right, like their kid has to make it to the kid's 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Nowhere close to high school yet, but I feel like they're running out of time. So having that understanding of, hey, give it time, because your kid is going to develop, your kid is going to grow, your kid is going to see things and understand things and learn things. As long as you stick to it, you keep on being positive with them, they're going to be all right. But a lot of that struggle that we have with parents and kids is, their parents want to push it so badly, because it's like they're running out of time. And then they just don't enjoy the process. And that's the biggest problem that I see with parents and kids, and the way that they create this relationship with their kids with regards to youth sports. And that's kind of what we want to tackle with the entire podcast, right? Like give them an understanding that, hey, you have time. So these stories are absolutely amazing.
If there's a parent out there with a kid that's 7 or 8 years old thinking that my kid's gonna make it to the major leagues, I got something coming from them. They got a better chance of finding a needle in a haystack than that happening.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So I think we want to touch on something. Again, all of this is in relation to what we could provide the audience as far as them understanding and learning, and how we discussed it's everybody has their background, everybody has their story. So a little bit of your story comes with some injuries early on in your career. So just wanted to touch base on that. Any kid that's going through injuries now, have them understand and the parents understand, hey, this is what we went through. And, even going through it, like all of a sudden, you became a major leaguer. So giving them hope, I guess, in a sense. So if you could touch base on what Zach went through with his injury early on.
Well, Zach was out of practice one day. I was working and I got to practice a little late. And when I got there, one of my coaches told me, hey, your son's elbow's hurting. And he had never had an injury before. So I said, okay, but what happened? He was doing a one-arm drills and he felt a pop in his elbow. I said, okay, no problem. As long as it wasn't throwing or that, I wasn't really worried. So we ended up going to go see a doctor, and it turned out that he had some loose cartilage floating around in his elbow. This is maybe, I think he was 11 years old. So he ended up having to have surgery where he had to gain those 13 pounds or before that date because he wasn't old enough. He didn't weigh enough. So he did it. We had surgery. He rehabbed. During that time, he got an invitation to go try out for Team USA, the 12 and under team, which we were looking forward to it. But with the timeline, I didn't know if he was going to be able to be ready for that tryout and possibly make the team. One day, while he was rehabbing, he has a party to go to with his mom at the fly zone, the sky zone, and I tell his mom, make sure he doesn't do nothing with his right hand. I know kids. When you go and play dodgeball and stuff like that, I know kids. Don't let them, be vigilant. Yeah, I got this. Okay. So I get to the party and I see him, favoring that right arm. And I ask him, I call him over and I ask him, hey.
What'd you do, bro?
I go, what's wrong? And he tells me that his arm was hurting. But we always had him wear an arm sleeve that had the padding like the basketball players. Mm-hmm. So I take it off, and when he takes off his arm sleeve, bro, that arm looked like the size of his thighs. And I looked at his mom and I go,
"What'd you do?"
I go, "Well, weren't you looking at him?" I'm sure. I mean, obviously, it's he's been throwing with the right hand. It's those are those big red balls. He can't be doing that. So I ended up taking him back to the doctor again. And he had to have surgery a second time. Because it wasn't because of that, but now we realized that in his elbow, they created like a little bit of a crater, and it wasn't allowing him to straighten out his arm. So it was like a little door hinge, like a little door stop. So they had to go in there and try to fix it up. So again, rehabbing again. Couldn't go to the Pony World 11 Under World Series, and he couldn't enjoy that. That's where I sort of separated myself from his that one team that we were together, and we ended up going our own separate ways. But I needed him to continue to rehab at our pace because the rigors of the other team was just too much, and I knew he wasn't going to be able to keep up at the time. I had to do what was best for my son at the time. So we continued. And to rehab and stuff like that. And he ended up, by the time he got, he was doing fine. And he got to high school, got to 9th grade. He was playing middle school baseball at Doral Academy. And then once he got to 9th grade, I get a call from the coach. And he told me, hey, Mr. Neto, I need to talk to you. I said, okay. So he calls me the next morning. I meet up with him. And he tells me, hey, I'm doing you a favor, but I'm just letting you know because I don't want you to spend the money, the money that I charge here for every player, which is like $750, but I cut your son. So you can work on developing him a little bit more. I go, okay. What do you want me to develop him? What do you want me to work on him? No, he's not athletic enough. And I said, okay. I appreciate your honesty. Thank you. I left the school. I went home. My wife was still home. She hadn't left for work. I go, hey, call out sick. I need you to go to school, and I need you to pull both of these kids out of that school. And she goes, what do you mean? And I told her the story. I go, this kid will never have a legit chance to play at that school. Not with that coach. Now he just brought in 18 new players because he pilfers from all the Dade County schools. So my wife takes him out of the school. And she goes, where do I put him? I go, I don't care. Where you put him? Put him anywhere. I go, well, look, I work over here off of 87th Avenue and A Street. There's a school right behind me. Just put him there. Coral Park Senior High. And that's where she ended up putting him. Little did I know that his hitting coach, I had been working with him since age 12, was actually the hitting coach there. I didn't really pay attention to where he was, coaching at, but he was the hitting coach there. So he gave me, when I went to meet the coach, he called me over and he goes, look, it's too late. He has to sit out a year. He can't play varsity baseball. And I go, look, I'll be honest with you, he's not ready to play varsity baseball anyways. He 5'6", pasados, 165, 140, I think it was that.
In Babao.
And with full uniform and everything. I go, look, just if he's good enough, just give him a shot. Just give him a shot, and if he's good enough, fine. If not, then just have him give you water or whatever, water boy, lo que tú quieras, whatever. And so he ended up putting him on the freshman team after he did a little tryout there. He liked him, and he put him on the freshman team. As soon as the freshman season ended, which they were already halfway through, he comes up to me and he goes, Coach Butch, he sits down next to me and he goes, hey, the JV season ended and we made the playoffs, but I need some help. You think Zach can go play for me? And I said, yeah, whatever, free baseball, dale, go take him. And then he played for JV that 3 or 4 games, and then the season ended. And then the next year he tried out for the varsity team and he made the varsity team playing that field, not even a shortstop. Because I've always told my kids, and this is something that I hope parents will realize: if you hit, you play. If you don't hit, you ain't playing, because you got to produce in order to be in the starting 9. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And my kids, you can walk up to my daughter who plays softball right now in D3 college, and you ask her, what did your dad ever always tell you about being in the starting lineup? And I'll bet you whatever you want. If you hit, you'll play.
You're gonna play.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that was a rehab process. I mean, yeah, it stinks, but it happens. It was a freak accident. Yeah. And the way I noticed after the first surgery, he wanted to go hit at the batting cages, and supposedly after the first surgery, his arm was going to be straightened out. Oh, everything perfect. So we go hit at the batting cages, and I'm warming up with him, and I tell him, hey, fix home plate, but I can't. It's crooked. So when he reaches down, I see that he does it with his arm bent, and I go, no, bro, extend the arm. And he goes, I can't. I go, what do you mean? So he walks up to me and he does an extension. It's like this. I go, oh no, we're gonna go see a doctor tomorrow. And we didn't even hit that night. We just got home, and I was like, oh my God, this is not gonna end well. This is not gonna end well. Yeah. And thankfully, everything got taken care of. He still can't bend. He still can't extend his arm all the way. But like his doctor says, when he sits down, he's a medical story. When it comes down to doctor's hospital, when the Dr. Vijay, Dr. Uribe group. At 16 years old, Dr. Vijay, which is his doctor, presented the whole entire group the case, and all the doctors see the X-rays and see all the MRIs and see this. Oh my God, this kid must be in pain. Blah, blah, blah. Well, doctor, you know what Dr. Vijay told him? You know where this kid is right now? He's playing in Orlando in a 16-under tournament baseball right now. But how can that be? But look at this and look at that. There was no answers for it. As time went on, Dr. Vijay, like I told you, he could only take you so far. Right. He recommended him to a hand specialist, so she could have just a second opinion on what it looked like. And she goes, "Can you play baseball right now?" He said, "Yeah." "Do you have any pain?" "No." "Okay, I'm going to talk to you as a mother now. Why am I going to, I'm going to talk to you as a surgeon now. Why am I going to operate on you when there's nothing wrong with you right now? You can do everything.
Without pain.
Without pain. Science is funny. If I operate on you tomorrow and I do something wrong, I might cost you your career. Mm-hmm. So I'm not going to risk that. Tell you what, go out there, have fun, throw your arm out. When you have pain, come see me and I'll fix you. Now I'm going to talk to you as a mom." And she goes, "I wouldn't have surgery." "For what? Why am I going to risk his youth on something that science is not perfect? It's not an exact science." Right. So we took her advice and we continued, and Next thing you know, he's in college throwing 94 miles per hour, coming out of the bullpen and stuff like that. And Dr. Vijay still can't believe that he's on the mound throwing 93, 94 miles per hour with a bent arm and stuff like that. And I always thought that was going to hinder him, when it came to draft day, because, you have to reveal all your medicals and stuff like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is going to be the one thing that's going to come back and bite him in the butt, and
Sky Zone.
And thankfully, yeah, Sky Zone and his mom, she came close of dying that day. I mean, I was very upset.
So, but now it makes a good story.
Yeah.
He's an orthopedic case study.
Yes. So touching back, and your dad mentioned it on Campbell. How was that experience of picking Campbell and the process there, and how much do you think that impacted going to Campbell and making him a first round draft pick?
He was on a recruiting trip with Lazaro Yanes. He was a former scout from the Milwaukee Brewers, which now he's the head coach at Miami-Dade. He used to rent a bus, and he used to take 40 baseball players, and he would take them to go get scouted, recruited. And he was at the last stop at Wake Forest, and I had called Yanes before, and I go, look, he's got a big tournament in Georgia, like 2 days, the next day. Is it okay if I pick him up there? And that way I'll just take him to Georgia. It saves me a trip from having to come from Miami all the way to Georgia. He goes, yeah, no problem. So I met him at Wake Forest, and he wasn't supposed to pitch that day. And so I'm sitting in the bleachers, and I have a coach sitting in front of me, and there's a whole bunch of coaches down in the front row. And the guy that's sitting in front of me is the head coach, is a pitching coach for Wake Forest. And it's the last inning, and I'm sitting here, and I'm hearing someone in the bullpen just throwing. And all you hear is the mitt, boom, boom. I was like, damn, that whoever's warming up is throwing gas. I mean, I can hear the mitt like pounding. And the inning ends. And we go, and his team goes out to play, and he goes to the mound. And he goes, he gets a pitch. He starts throwing the ball, and as soon as they say play ball, the first pitch he throws registers at 94 miles per hour, and the guy in front of me like freaks out. And he starts picking up his gun and stuff like that, and everybody in the front row starts scurrying around and with their phones, taking videos and stuff like that. And I was like, no. I go, wow. And then this guy takes out the pitching gun, and it's like 93, 94, 93, 93. And I said, Zach got pumped up, because, he knew he threw hard, but I didn't realize he was throwing that hard. And plus, when the stadium's empty, the echo is like maddening. So the game ends, whatever, and he comes with me. And by the time we sit in the car, he already has a message from Campbell University, a coach from Campbell University. And he tells me, and I go, Campbell University, what? They want you to go to school para hacer sopa or what? Because, Campbell University. I go, who is he? Who are these people? And so I said, no, don't answer them back. Let's get to the hotel room and let me do my research, because I don't know who the people are. So I went online and I looked them up, and I told them, hey, you know what? That program just seems to be a pretty solid baseball program. Go ahead and touch base with them. So he called them, and it worked out. We set up a date to come visit, and I told him, let them know that we're gonna go visit 2 other schools: Wake Forest, who was the other? Winthrop University, and Campbell, and they come to us last. Okay, no problem. So we go that weekend and we go see them. We go see Winthrop, we go see Wake Forest, and then we go see Campbell, and they treated them like they rolled out the red carpet for them. It actually felt like home. He asked me, well, what do I do? And I go, no, what do I do? What do you do? No, don't ask me. This is your decision. This is where you're going to spend the next 4 years. Mind you, I still don't think he's going to get drafted. I'm just happy that he's going to go to college, because that's mine and my wife's dream is just do something more than what we were able to do. Live a better life than us. So we just wanted them to get to college, and he was my middle one. So yeah, if him getting to college was a win-win for us. Still didn't think he was going to get drafted or nothing like that. He still hadn't really blossomed yet. And the coach came and gave us his recruiting page, blah, blah, blah. And we had already agreed, whatever This guy says, we cannot make a decision today. We got to call mom and we have to talk to mom. So he goes and tells the coach, Coach Hare, he goes, look, I love the place, but I got to talk to my mom. I'm going to have to get back to you. Oh, no, you need to talk to your mom? Here's my phone. I'm going to walk out the door, call your mom, and let her know. I'll give you 5 minutes. So he goes out the door, and me and him are by the time. I go, wow, that's pretty crude, you know, that he's not letting you go home. You know, he wants an answer today. Yeah. So we call Maggie, and she's like, hey, do whatever you feel right. You know, if that place feels right for you, do it. So then when the guy walks in, he calls him in, and Zach tells him, hey, I'm gonna be a fighting camel. That guy jumped out of his seat, you know, gives me a man bear hug, and I was like, you know, this guy's excited. So I said, all right. And I think that was the best decision that he has ever made in his life, because when he got there, he was 5'10", 165 pounds. The the strength and conditioning coach asked him, have you ever worked out before in your life? And the guy goes, this guy goes, yeah, of course. My coach used to tell us to go work out, and he would leave and he would come back. No. I'm talking about a real workout. and he goes, no, not like that. And I said, okay. And the guy goes, okay. He goes, Dad, I promise you, if I'm going to promise you something, I'm going to promise you this. By the time he graduates from here, thinking that he was going to be there for 4 years, he's going to be weighing over 200 pounds. And I said, bro, listen. I know my kid. This kid could eat Taco Bell all day long, and he won't hold the weight. There's no way. He's not going to do it.
Right.
I go, but hey, that's what you want.
Good luck.
That's what you say. Good luck. No problem. And the process started. COVID hit. Ended the season. And then he ends up coming down, down to Miami. And during that time, I had seen one of his friends who had posted that he had committed. He had committed to play on this team, the Delray Beach, the Delray Beach Lightning. And I go, hey, call up Andrew and find out what team. I thought he was playing college over there in your conference. So he called him up and he told him that it was just a summer league. So I told him, hey, you want to play summer league? Call the guy up and see if you can play. So he called up the guy, and the guy tells him, look, I only got one spot left. He's the actual owner of the whole entire league. He goes, I only have one spot left on my team. If you want it,
come
send me the deposit, and it's yours. So that year of COVID, there's a lot of summer leagues across the country. They all got closed, including the Cape Cod League. Everything got closed except for two. One, North Carolina, and that one. He had to get special permission. And that league, a lot of those big time players that were supposed to go to Cape Cod and all these other big ones, they all came down here. And then it became a tremendous summer league with a lot of competition, and that's where he blossomed.
Is that the point where you start realizing that he can go to the next level?
Yes, and me and my wife went to a lot of his games, and a lot of scouts, since there's only 2 leagues going on, a lot of scouts started showing up to a lot of these games. And my wife was telling me stories. When she would go to the games, she would tell me these stories that people would be asking, who the hell is this kid? He's a local boy from Miami, but he's playing in North Carolina? What kind of coaches are in the state of Florida that let this kid leave the state of Florida? Are you guys crazy? That was a scout from the Pirates. And then, but then there's one particular game. The night before, we were playing on a Friday night, and we were supposed to play the team on Saturday that had a potential first round draft pick pitcher, lights out. And I see the guy putting up tents behind home plate. I mean, I'm talking about 4 or 5 tents, chairs all over the place. He's marking, he's roping it off. And I walk up to some guy, and I go, hey, what's going on? Oh no, there's a big game here tomorrow. Zach's team is playing against this kid's team, and the kid's gonna be pitching against Zach. There's gonna be over 50 or 70 scouts here just to watch that game. And I go, for real? I said, damn, okay. All right, this is interesting. So the game gets rained out. They go, damn, there goes. Usually a rain out is a rain out. But the owner of the league goes, no, there's no rain out. We're playing the game tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning. There's supposed to be rain at 10, but we're going to have this field ready at 8 o'clock in the morning because we're going to play as long as we can, but that matchup's going to happen. So at the time, Lazaro Yanis, who's a Milwaukee Brewers scout, he had a private workout with his boss and with Zach and another player, and Lazaro had told me that his boss told him that he didn't feel that Zach could hit at the next level because of the leg kick and stuff like that. There was no way. Okay, thank you for the honest opinion. He's been overlooked his whole entire life, anyways. So the matchup comes up. He's hitting third, and the kid coming to pitch. First time they face each other all summer. Kid throws 95, 97 miles per hour. The guy's legit. He's with the San Francisco Giants now. Throws him, I think it was a curveball or slider on the outside corner, and Zach, on the first pitch, Zach takes him down the right field line for a stand-up double.
Do you remember this?
I do.
Okay.
And everybody, all the scouts were like, oh my God, check this out. I mean, one-on-one. That was the matchup. Next at bat, all these guys have their guns out because they know he already beat him with his changeup, right? With the curveball, whatever it was. Right. He hit a double off him. Everyone knows here comes the 97 mile per hour heater. But not only did the scouts know that the 97 mile per hour heater is coming, he knew the 97 miles per hour heater. Leg kick and all. I don't care who's throwing. He's got incredible bat speed. And he took the first pitch he threw him. It was a 97 miles per hour fastball straight up the middle that almost took his head off. Right through the middle. And as soon as he got to first base, the floodgates opened and the game got canceled. But he got his 2 at-bats against the potential first-round pick. And I told my wife, this is the moment. That was the moment right there. He just got put on the map. He had such a great summer that the coach at Campbell was calling Lazaro Yanis, who introduced him to him, hey, is he coming back? He wasn't sure if he was coming back because he was having a fabulous summer. And Lazaro told him, hey, don't worry about it. You have a great family who believes in the trust, and they're loyal, and they're loyal to you. He's going back. Just treat him well. And then he goes back to his first full season, and he has a remarkable year, and he finishes winning the Big South Conference Player of the Year. And then he gets the invite. I was always telling him, hey, get in your coach's ear. Tell him that you want to go to the Cape. Tell him that you want to go play in the Cape Cod because that's where all the prospects go. If they really think that you're going to be a prospect and you get that invite, we're talking now.
At that point, did he already move from outfield to short?
At that first season, he was playing everything. He was playing first base.
Yeah.
He called me up one day. He goes, guess what position I practice at today? And I go, what, second? He goes, no, at first base. I go, first base? What are you doing at first base? And he goes, I don't know. Coach told me to go play first base. I said, oh, okay. It just so happened that the following weekend I was going out there anyways. He goes, yo no me meto con nadie. But I had to talk to the coach. And I walked up to him and I go, hey, can I just ask you a quick question? Before the first game on Friday night, I didn't even know the lineup, or I didn't know nothing. Why have you been practicing Zach at first base? He goes, look, Mr. Neto, I normally don't answer questions from my parents, but I'm going to answer this one for you. If you've done your research of my team, you should know that my bullpen averages 14 walks a game. And your son is the only guy that I trust that I can call upon him at any point in a game to come in and throw strikes. If I have him playing third, shortstop, or second, or outfield, or wherever, how many balls is he going to be throwing through in a 9-inning game? So I'd rather put him at first base where all he's doing is catching the ball and keeping the arm fresh.
Save the arm.
So I can have him to close out games for me.
Okay, Ricky Vaughn.
So I said, okay. I go, that's why you get paid the big bucks, and I walked away. So that first year he played a little bit of everything. He finished second as an All-American in the utility spot.
Behind guess who?
Behind Paul Skeens.
Paul Skeens.
Because he was a utility. He was a pitcher and a hitter at the time. So he finished in the second team All-American utility because Paul Skeens beat him out in the first team.
Paul Skeens was a catcher at the time, right?
No, he was playing first.
First?
But he was at Air Force at the time.
And he hit bombs.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Big boy.
Big boy.
Then his second year, he became towards the end of the first year, the coach finally realized what he should have done earlier. To move his senior shortstop to a second base or even third base and let him play shortstop. Afterwards, his coach admitted to me, he goes, should have made that move a little earlier. But it is what it is. I learned my lesson.
I played a little bit of everything. I played almost 10 games at second, 10 games at first. I played one game at third base, and the rest were short. I pitched maybe, 14, 15 times that year. DH'd when I pitched. That was it.
How many guys did you walk, though?
Oh, it was pretty much get people on base and then strike everybody out. Yeah, so
it was nervous.
Yeah,
I mean,
my coach kind of knew. He was like, "All right, I think it's better if we just bring him in when there's people on base than when just to start an inning because I'll either walk one, hit one, and then end up striking everybody out."
So one last question I need to ask because I think it's, I think every parent, right? Like you feel the joy and you've seen it sometimes being recorded. How was that call, that information over to you that, hey, I just got called up to the big leagues?
It was a Friday. I think it was a Friday night. It was like 11. We were watching his game, and that game he goes off. I mean, he had 2 home runs, like 9 RBIs, and we're winning the game like 15-3, and he gets taken out of the game like in the 7th inning, and my wife goes, "Why'd they take him out of the game?" I go, "Babe, it's baseball. 15-3. The other team could get frustrated. Aquí empiezan los pelotazos, and they don't want to risk getting him hurt."
Yeah, mind you, in the minor leagues, you get Mondays off, and then you play Tuesday through Sunday. So, us all thinking, oh, maybe they're just giving him a day, let him get the rest of the game off, so he comes tomorrow fresh, early game tomorrow, so he'll come back fresh.
So I go, since he's out of the game, I'm going to bed. I have to go to work tomorrow morning early. So I go, I take a shower, boom, I'm in bed, and boom, I get a phone call, and I miss it. I only rang like twice. So then he calls his mom. No, I'm sorry, I did pick up the phone call. And I go, "Hey, what's up?" And he goes, "Hey, what are you doing?" I go, "Dude, I'm sleeping. I'm getting ready to go to bed. I got to go to work tomorrow." "What is mom doing?" "She's getting ready to go to sleep." "Well, can you put me on speaker?" I go, "What happened, man? What's going on?"
No.
I go, "What's going on? If you want to talk to your mom, just call your mom. I mean, what seems to be the problem?" And she goes, No, I got some news for you. I said, "Okay, all right, look, put you on speaker." "Babe, Zach has some news for us." So he goes, "Hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow?" I go, "Bro, we just went to work.
I'm going to work.
I gotta go to work. Your mom's got a busy day. What's the problem?"
You called me to ask me that.
He goes, Can you guys pack your bags and get ready to go to Boston?" I go, "Man, listen. I don't got time to be playing around. I gotta go to work. You know what?" And I hung up on him. I hung up on him. And I tell my wife, I go, "Do you believe this freaking kid's calling me there? Playing with my emotions like that? I gotta go to bed. Now I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep because now I'm gonna be thinking about this little chiste, So he calls his mom. "Why did Papi hang up on me? You guys don't believe me, right?" So she puts on speaker and she goes, "Look, Zach, I mean, this is serious. I mean, don't be playing around like this." And she goes, Mom, I swear, I just got called up. Hold on." And he puts his coach on and goes, "Look, this is
Andy Schatz.
I'm the coach." And we pulled him out of the game because we were they called us and told us to take him out because he's getting called up tomorrow. He's heading to Boston. And I'm still in bed and I'm hearing this. I'm going,
my.
He wasn't lying. And I was like, "Well, I gotta start making phone calls," because I had made a deal with my boss. I go, "Hey," not thinking that was going to happen so fast. I mean, I only played 45 games in the minor leagues. But I had made a deal with my boss. I go, "Hey, you're going to get a phone call one night in the near future, and late at night, letting you know that I'm not coming to work. And I don't know when I'm coming back because my son just got called up." So the first person I called was my boss. He didn't answer, but because he goes in early, I go, "Hey, giving the heads up. Zach just got called up. I ain't coming to work, and I don't know when I'm coming back. Bye. Like, what? And that's when I start calling up his hitting coach, his agent, and everybody. And then me and my wife are like, after we finally hang up the phone with him, all right, we need to start making plans. You start making hotel reservations, and I'm gonna start working on the flights, man. But we had just had that major rain allá in Fort Lauderdale, that toda la pista was flooded. There was only like one pista on. There was delays left and right. I couldn't get a flight out of Fort Lauderdale. And I was able to get one flight out of Miami, but man, it was like $1,500 per seat, and it wasn't even first class. I was like, wow. I said, what? I go, it's only one debut, man. This only happens once. And I know, that's why you got credit cards, right?
Yeah.
I put on credit card. I go, maybe one day he'll pay off my credit card. Anyway, let's just go. So then my wife, she goes, babe, I cannot find a hotel room. We have no idea. I mean, why we couldn't find them. So we end up sending him a message, and he finally calls back about 3 hours later. And I go, hey, Bobby, we got a flight. We're going to be there on time, but we cannot find a hotel room nowhere in Boston.
Boston Marathon.
And we're like, we're going to have to stay with you. Oh my God, for real? And he goes, look, don't worry about it. I already spoke to my traveling secretary for the Angels, and he's going to get you a room at the same hotel as us. Once we get there, we realized that was Boston Marathon weekend. Everything was packed. You couldn't find nothing. Oof. So, but we were able to make it. The agent was there. He got there just in time for the game. His hitting coach got there like in the fourth inning because everybody was like trying to leave at the last minute. But when we got there, we sat down. Me and my wife, we sat down and we're like,
it happened.
Man, is this really happening? I mean, he just got drafted like last year. And my wife goes, but is this normal? I go, no, this is not normal. People are usually in the minor leagues for 4 or 5 years. This is not normal. And I said, wow. I go, wow, we made it. And we sat there and we're like, we made it. And we gave each other a hug and we were both crying. I was like, we made it. And then no pressure. Zach's leading off. Zach's leading off in front of Ohtani and Mike Trout. And I said, I go, wow. So he goes 0 for 15, like 9 ground balls to the third baseman, and then it comes to the last game because he was going from Boston to New York, and he wanted us to go to New York, but unfortunately my wife on Tuesday had to have a gallstone surgery, so it was already planned. I go, Bobby, we could only go there for Boston. We have to leave, but we would love to see you get your first hit. So the third base out. I go, Devers at third base. He's good. You don't need to give him no more ground balls. That guy's gonna catch him off. That guy's not gonna make an error. Just hit it somewhere where they're not. So we're there. It's a rainy day, really bad day. But he finally gets his hit. Bah! But we have to go. And the rain comes and it delays the game, like in the third inning. And we're all happy. I sent him a text, hey, Bobby, hey, look, unfortunately, we got to go. And he goes, hey, I'm sending you our security, our head of security. He's going to come get you so he can bring you around to say goodbye. So we go downstairs behind the dugout and he there's we have a picture of him giving me the ball in a little Ziploc bag. And of course, me being the guy that I am, I go, the game's in the third inning. This ball means absolutely nothing unless this game becomes official. You don't have a hit yet, officially. I go, oh, man. So we're hoping that the game resumes. I don't care if we win or lose as long as it resumes. So we're at the airport, sitting at the bar, waiting for our flight, and the game resumes. And we're all there's like 4 of us here. We're all watching the game. And as soon as they make the last out in the 5th inning, we all 4, it's official. He got his first hit. And everyone's looking at us like, what the hell are these people? What's going on with these people? It became official. So he finally got his first hit. He went 1 for 16 in the series, but that one was huge. It was huge, but it was a very surreal moment. Yeah, tough crowd, but
tough crowd.
That's awesome, guys. That's awesome. Listen, great time.
We want to have you back, by the way.
Whenever you want.
We gotta have you back.
No, there's a lot more to get to. From parent son relationship that I think we definitely got to tap into. But for the first time, I really want to thank you guys for coming out, sharing your stories. You guys are family, so
I appreciate it.
Really appreciate
it. Thank you for having us.
Thank you, Joaquin. Thank you, Zach.
Thank you, guys.
All right, let's do it.
Nice.